Okay, good evening, guys. So, just a quick confirmation. I am audible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, Shiva just messaged that he will be 10 minutes late. So, it's okay. I think most of us are here. So, we will start now. So, last time, during the last weekend, we stopped at deep dive on virtual warehouses, and we covered all the aspects of virtual warehouses, how to configure them, the various modes, maximize mode, auto scaling, standard versus economy, auto scaling, and all that. So we covered all that last week, and we were going to start with a new topic, which is information schema, right? So this is a new topic. Although we had a superficial look at this in the last week, but we will still start from the beginning for this topic. So whoever missed last week regarding information schema, no need to worry. We are going to start fresh from here. Okay. So I have logged into my Snowflake account. Okay. So as we all know by now that any database that we create in Snowflake, by default, it comes with two schemas. Okay. So for my earlier batch, I had created this DB called control DB. Okay, this is which I created. So see this information schema in public. This got created uh, by default as I created the database. So these other schemas are the ones which I created. External stages, file format, internal stage. This is all which I created. Okay. But information schema in public are always the default schemas which will be created whenever you create a database. So if you look at any database, for example, demo DB is here, you can see there are two schemas here. Then sample DB, you can see two schemas here. There's a util DB provided to us. You can see this. And what I'll do is I'll create one database in front of you guys just to test that. Okay, so I'm calling it test info schema. Okay, I'm creating a database and finish test info schema. Okay, so if I go back to my worksheets and refresh here, see this is the new database I've created. And if I open it, I will have two schemas by default given to this database. Okay, so then you can create your personal, user defined schemas under the database and do your project related work, or you can also create it under public schema also, not a problem. But yes, for better naming conventions, we always create our own user defined schemas. Fine. So anyway, I'll drop this database. I just wanted to show it to you guys. So I'll just go back to this database here, click on it, and I'll just use this drop option to drop it. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that anytime a database is created in your database, two schemas by default are uh, created under them. Okay. So as you can see, the two default schemas are public and information schema. So public schema, this is, let's look at this one. So public schema, it basically is a schema given to you by default where you can create your tables, views, or any other objects that you want to. Okay. So you can use it for your project related work. Okay. Although we don't use it normally, but you can create your own schemas and create your objects. For example, in demo DBC under public, I have created, this is the tables which I have created. Employee table, orders table, people table, state lookup table, and those kind of table structures I have created. So this is a schema by default where under which you have the rights to create your own objects. Okay. But information schema, this is a read-only schema for us. Okay. We cannot create any table inside it, or and for that matter, any object inside it. It is only a read-only schema for us. Okay. So to prove that, let's let's select that schema and database. Let me use this and let me use the highest privilege also. The account admin, not the privilege, sorry, the role. This is the highest role Snowflake can have, right? So let me create a table under the schema. Test role schema. Just creating a random table of 2 columns maybe. See, insufficient privileges to read to operate on schema, information schema. So we don't have we don't have any write operation privileges here. Okay. So this is only a read-only schema. And what is the purpose of this schema is, as you guys, most of you guys have already worked in databases, right? So you all know that there is a data dictionary with every database which comes and which basically stores metadata, correct? Which is nothing but data about your data, right? So that something called as data dictionary. Data dictionary comes with every database, right? And what does it store? It stores metadata. What is metadata? It is nothing but data about data. Correct. So for what is a very simple example of this is, for example, if you create a table called say T1, so what will be the metadata for this? What is the metadata for this? So columns, you know, what all columns it has, its corresponding data types, right? Then storage, what is the amount of storage it has taken, and all kind of, basically it's not the actual values of the table or actual values that you insert into a table in the form of rows and columns, or you can say not the actual content, but at the properties of that particular object. So it is not only confined to table. It can, the metadata can be for views also. It can be for stored procedures also, for materialized views also, for that matter, any kind of object that you create under your database, you will have metadata or its related properties stored somewhere, correct? So that is normally called as a data dictionary in the database language, correct? So here that purpose is solved by the information schema. Okay, so let's read out the definition, guys. Each database created in the account automatically includes a built-in read-only schema named information schema. Okay, this is what we just discussed. The schema contains the following objects: views for all objects contained in the database, as well as views for account level objects. Okay, that is non-database objects such as roles, warehouses, and databases. Okay, so just to jog your memory, we had seen this hierarchy, correct? Mm, we had seen this hierarchy in the previous classes, guys. So this is database lying under the at the account level, and under database you have schema, and then you have the table view, storage, stage, and all these objects. So whatever is coming under the level of database, obviously that will be a database object, but anything that is at the account level and not under database will be non-database objects, which is very obvious. So users are not part of database, roles not part of database, warehouse is not part of database, and some other account objects. So these all objects, user, role, warehouse, and database itself is an account level object. Okay, what is a database level object? It's a schema, table, view, stage, all this. So that is what it is saying, that it is containing information or metadata of, sorry, metadata of database objects and account level objects also. Okay. So what is and what so what is this? So what they are trying to say is, what does information schema contain? So it contains views, okay, and it also contains certain table functions. So we'll see what table functions are and why. What information do they give us is historical and usage data across your account. Okay. So what is the usage of your warehouse, of your database, what kind of storage has been happening. So all that kind of metrics, related to metrics, that kind of data can be viewed from by firing table functions. Okay. And it is based on SQL standard. And in addition to, it can have certain Snowflake specific views and functions. So these table functions are specific to Snowflake, but of course they're SQL based only. And the analogy, or it is something that is similar to data dictionary itself. So that is what we just discussed, right? It is similar to data dictionary. So let me go back to schema now, the information schema. See, I have opened up the information schema. As you can see, there are no tables in this schema, right? So as we also saw under the slide, it mentioned that it contains two kind of objects, views and table functions. So table functions you cannot see here, okay, but views and tables you can see here. Okay, but obviously it doesn't contain tables, so you can see that it contains so many views. Okay, so if we look at, say, let me remove this. Let's say if we look at this databases, let me place it in my worksheet here. So guys, database, what did we see in the slide? Right now we are working on the views, right? So it says all objects contained in the database as well as views for account level objects. Okay, so let's fire this and see what happens. See, it is giving the metadata of all the of what all databases this account contains, because database is an account level object, correct? And that is what it says. It contains both objects under the database and account level. So database is account level. So it is showing us all the databases contained in the account level and its properties, like who is the database owner, is it transient. So this transient and temporary and temporary and permanent properties we will see when we look at the table types. Okay, so this is something to do with temporary database or database persisting till the session is on, that kind of stuff. This category falls into. Okay, so we'll look at that in more detail. Then the comments, if you have created while creating the database, if you have mentioned any comments there, when was it created, when was it altered, retention time. Okay, so it's a 1 day retention time. So yeah, so this is nothing but your metadata. So if we look at certain, obviously we won't look into all of them, but we'll look at certain uh, important ones. So if we look at, see, this one, information schema catalog. Okay, this will give you the database in which you are currently present, the context that you have set currently, it will give you that. So in information schema terminology, catalog name is also the database name. It's nothing but database only, name of the database. So it just contains one row always. So if I change this uh, database to some other database, okay, I will use commands, guys, so that you also get more familiar. Use database. Yes, I can do it from context changing by this web UI also, but I will fire command so that you guys also, it gets embedded in your memories. So I have changed that. I've changed the database and you can see the context here also changed. Okay. Now I can choose the schema also, although I have given the fully qualified name, I don't need to choose the schema, but still just for the commands I will use it. Okay, see it changed the schema also here. And let's fire these queries again. So since this is an account level, it will give all the database objects or database names, but in the catalog name, it should give us control DB. It's giving demo DB. Oh, sorry, I have not. I should have. I gave the fully qualified name, right? So yeah, see control DB, right? What all roles are there? If you want to see that, let me place this here. Okay, so we are. Let me change this back to demo DB, guys, because we are right now selecting everything from there, right? So I just showed you this example to make you understand like what all information will be given to you at the database level and what all information will be given to you at the account level. So I just changed the database and I'll change the schema also. So I'll change the schema also. Select this. See, so it will basically give all the applicable rules to that particular user. Okay. And but basically it's not user, but who got granted from. Okay. So how many roles we have? Account admin, public, and all this. Okay. Then say, let me go to the SQL sheet that I have. Okay. So we just looked at this and say if you want to look at the columns for a specific table. Okay. So again, this is columns. So this columns are always associated to obviously either tables or views or multi-realized views. So this will come under database level, right? So this should give you information of only those columns which are there in that database. Okay, so let me remove this where conditions and we fire it. That was some other schema I had created for the other batch actually. Yeah. So see, right now we are under demo DB. So you will see there is all the columns related to demo DB. So what our PPT says, views for all objects contained in the database, right? So this columns is always contained within the database. So it is not giving you any column information outside demo DB. For example, for control DB or something, it's not giving you that, right? So if I now change again to use control DB, maybe. Again, use the information schema. Bring this statement here. Okay, so it will give you all the columns that are there under control DB. Okay, and in this also, if you want to say, look at particular table specific column, so you can go and say where table underscore name. This is information schema. Let me change the schema name. Nice. Where table underscore schema. So if I go to control DB, and if I go to, okay, have I created any tables? No, there's no tables created under my control DB, guys. Even though I've created these schemas, I did not create tables under them. because of some purpose, some other purpose, for some other topic actually. So let me go back to demo DB only, because I have created tables there. Okay. Yeah. So table schema, I have created tables under what? Public schema, right? All these. So let me say I want to look into this schema, public. Okay. So I am getting certain tables and their columns. And if I want to look at a specific table, maybe say this one EMP basic. Let me say table underscore name equal to EMP underscore basic. So it will give you the details of the columns, email, start date, and all that. These are the structures, and you can see the original position, ordinal position basically, because I have created first name as first column, then last name as second column. So if you hover over this and click here, view details, sorry, if you click here on the table name, you'll see here what columns I created and in their specific order. So when you fire a select query, guys, there is no guarantee that Snowflake or any database for that matter will return back the rows in a specific order. There's no guarantee. So yeah. So then is it nullable, the different properties, and what are the different data types? Okay. And so many other informations related to columns only. Okay. So if we go to the documentation and if we go for the information schema, you will see list of so many views. See, so many of them, right? And all these are present here under the information scheme. All of them. Okay. So let's look at a few more tables. Again, this is this is very simple only. It is you might have already come across this concept being database guys, that it is nothing but having metadata information. So if you want to see the tables, all the tables in your database and that particular schema. So this will again, tables are at the database object level. So it will give you only the information for that particular database which you are in. And currently we are in DemoDB. So it will give you all the tables under DemoDB, okay, for its various schemas also. Okay, then what else I have? This is the documentation link, guys. If you are interested, you can go and check more details on this. Then object privileges are there. I will take them a bit later. Today only I will take, but a bit later. Then there's file formats also. If you remember, there is something called as a file format object. When we were doing a web UI tour of this Snowflake, then we had come across this file formats object, right? So if I go to databases, let me say choose one database, control DB. I have created it for my other batch. Okay, so you can see all the objects, types of objects that you can create under a database. So schema, table views, stages, and something called as file formats. So I created one file format. So file format is nothing, guys. When maybe what, let me share an example. Okay, so a lot of times there will be instances that you will be loading a lot of files. Okay, these are your files, and you will be later on in Snowflake also, when we proceed further for data loading chapters, that time we will be loading a lot of files into our Snowflake data warehouse, right? So there will be always certain types of files you will be loading. So they could be your CSV kind of files, right? CSV, comma separated values, which I mean we all know what comma separated value files are. So sometimes it happens that although the extension of that file is CSV, but internally the delimiter of the column delimiter, it is not comma. It can be tab also, it can be pipe delimiter also, anything. Although it says as extension as CSV. So I have a few files which I loaded earlier. So if we look at this orders file, okay, uh, if you see this has tabs, it has got tabs as delimiter, column delimiters. Okay. Then if I go to this files, people file, it has got comma separated values, comma separated column delimiter. Okay. Then if I go to, and all these fall under your structured files. Okay. All of them. These are all your structured files. And if I go to what this employee files also. Okay. These are also tab separated. Okay. So you will have different kinds of file formats. Correct. So Snowflake tells you or gives you a facility to create a file format object. Okay. So you can. So this is your Snowflake, say database. Okay. This is your say Snowflake account. Okay. Under Snowflake account there is this database, and under database you have schema, and under schema say you have file formats, file format kind of objects. Like you have tables, views, stored procedures. Similarly, you have a object called as file format. So here you can create your own objects. Okay, these are your file format objects, and you can set their properties. Okay, so you can say, okay, this particular file format or will be comma separated. Okay, I will say this is CSV type, and I will say this basically is, say the column delimiter will be pipe, and my row separator will be say carriage letter, and say I want to skip, one row, skip row equal to one, in case there might be files which have headers, or and I want to skip them, right? So if I show you just an example. So for example, this people file, right? So this first column, first row, this is nothing but the information of the columns of this file. Like that first column is ID, second column is person, region, and so on. So I don't want to load this while loading the file. So I can give an option of skipping. So all those kind of properties, these kind of properties, we can set in a file format object. Okay. So this way, whenever I have a certain types of files, I can create different types of files, file formats. And while loading, I can specify that this particular file format which I'm loading is basically having the properties of this particular file format. So I know, okay, my column delimiter will be comma. Snowflake will know basically. The column delimiter is tab or comma. It is a CSV file. I need to skip so many rows, and the row end separator is a carriage return. So all that this object will notify to Snowflake before loading that particular kind of file. Okay, so which is why this file format objects is created in Snowflake. Okay, so if you go back and look at those objects, so I have created one. So one of my batches, we were doing the data loading topic. That time I created this format. So if you look at this format only, if I edit it, see what I did. So compression mode, before loading the file, what kind of compression you want to do, you can select from here. Then what is the column separator? Okay, it can be comma, vertical bar, your tab, none, or you can say other and specify. Maybe you have a tilde, maybe. Okay, sorry, maybe you have a tilde, so uh, you can select other and then specify it. Okay, then what is the row separator, right? I mean, when does my row end? So it can be new line, okay, carriage return, none, or something other. How many lines to skip? Whether my fields are optionally enclosed by some quotes like single quote or double quote and all that. How do I treat my null strings? Okay, and these values, these properties you can set. So if you want to check the metadata, like so whatever you have set here, right? That metadata will come in information schema from a view called file formats. Okay. So let me fire it here. The demo DB will not obviously have any file format. Okay, if that's created under demo DB only. Right. So maybe demo DB is also having a file format, which I created earlier. So if I click here, go to file format, yeah. So this one I have created long back. So it's there. So it is basically, it will give you the metadata properties, right? So whatever we set there, that it will be shown here. Who is the owner? What is the format? What is the file delimiter? This comma, I think, and so many other informations. Okay, let me go back to see what else is there. Okay. So there's an object privileges, guys, which I will discuss later when I come to this access frameworks, right? That time I can show you that. That will be more relatable that time. Then tables we covered, then table constraints, what are the table privileges, then this table storage metrics. Let me okay. So basically what we just saw in the PPT, it says it doesn't not only contains your metadata of the database, but it also contains historical and usage data. Okay, what is the usage and what is the historical consumption of your warehouses, of your database storage? That metrics also it gives you that information. Okay, so one such storage, one such metrics for storage, you can get from some view called as table storage metrics. Okay, so if I go and fire this command, so see under my demo DB, I have these tables created. Okay, so it is basically showing the amount of data or the amount of consumption of storage done by these tables. Okay, so you can see certain tables here uh, which you won't see here. So maybe the owners are different. Let me change the role. No. Yeah. See, under the account admin. So if I just refreshed it, guys. So these are the uh, what you call tables I had created earlier. Okay, customer, customer non-cluster, customer how cluster work, customer order by. So these are the ones which I created. Employee basic, product test, SF orders, and all that. For my other batches, I created all those tables here. So if you go and look at customer, how cluster works, look at the size, 71.5 GB means so many rows are there. Okay, so if I go here to customer how cluster, so it will show you the active bytes. What is the storage this particular table has consumed. Okay, so from here you will get those metrics and other details. So basically, this column is important here. So if we look at some other tables which has no data, for example, this employee basic, you see there's nothing here. If you look at supplier, there's some 4.9, uh, around 4 GB, I guess, 4.6 GB. Supplier test has 1.5. So yeah, this supplier test. Okay, so from here you can get the metrics on of the storage for table from the tables. So which is why it is also called as table storage metrics. Okay, so it is not only to show you the metadata information, but also it is showing you history and usage of your uh, data consumption, and along with that also warehouse consumption. So warehouse consumption we'll look at it in a bit. But till here, any doubts before I move on? Okay, I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the next topic is guys, account usage. It is something similar to information schema. And after this topic, then a very important topic will start, which is most awaited, I guess, roles and users. It is going to be very fun. But it is, I mean, if you understand, it is very simple also. But here we will see a lot of uh, you know scenarios and how access control framework works in Snowflake. Okay, so yeah, before that, we need to complete something called as account usage. To give you guys an idea, it is something similar to information schema. Okay. Changing the role, guys, to sysadmin. Okay, look at this. Open up new worksheet also. Okay. Sorry, guys. One important one thing I missed out. Really sorry. So under information schema, we have two kinds of objects. One is views, right? And one is table functions. Okay. So this table functions, it will basically return the account level usage and historical information for storage, warehouses, user logins, and queries. Okay. So these are table functions. Cool. So this you cannot see under this drill downs here. Only tables, views, and all that you can see. But there are certain certain table functions which we will look at, not all, because see, I mean, there are so many table functions here, and some we will cover as we go for those particular on those particular topics. For example, when we are doing this micro partitions and all that, then we will look at automatic clustering history. And against each information, it's against each table function, it shows the data retention period, 14 days. So for how long this particular piece of information will be retained, okay, for 14 days, okay. So there's so many here. Okay. So, and we will cover, when we are covering that particular topic, we will go and cover that particular table function also as in when it comes for us. But for now, we will look at some 2, 3. For example, this one, warehouse load history. Okay, so it will give you the, as the name suggests, and if you go to the table functions also, you can see somewhere here, warehouse load history, right? So if you click on it, it will say this table function can be used to query the activity history for a single warehouse within a specified date range. Okay, and this function returns warehouse activity within the last 14 days. So we have a lot of warehouses, right, which we create here, these warehouses. So what have been their consumption or what have been their activities for the last 14 days, it will give you. Okay, only last 14 days. So if I go and say fire one of the table functions here, let me get them both here. Okay. And if you want to also see what is the specific syntax, if you go to the documentation here, it will show you that so this is basically a function, right? And why it is called as a table function is because you can call it from a select statement from, okay, and then this keyword you can use. This is a keyword here, table, and to that you can pass the function. So when you pass that function, it behaves like a table. So the output which comes out is in the form of rows and columns. Okay, so that is called as a table function, which gives you the output one by one. So normally functions, if you look at a normal programming function, right? What is the property of a normal programming function? It returns just one value, correct? If you go to C, Python, Java, or anywhere, even PL SQL, the function, a normal function that you write, it is supposed to return one value to you. Okay, but if there is a function which you have to return as a cursor, maybe a multiple rows, so that is called as a table function. So this will give you an output with multiple data, not just one data, with multiple data in the form of rows and columns, which is why it is called as a table function also. Okay, so to the function, we always pass parameters to procedures or functions. If we require, we pass parameters, right? So similarly, in the documentation, if you want to know what kind of parameters should we be passing, it will show you. So here it says the start date, the end date, and which warehouse name for which you want to collect the metrics or see the metrics, correct? So, and all these arguments are optional. Okay, so if you don't pass anything, it will give you the maximum uh, right from the last 14 days information for all the warehouses. Okay, so let's try this on this table function also. I'll just uh, I'll just take one more without passing anything. Okay. So just a second, guys. I'm getting a message from Venkat. This is it. Okay, so he has some urgent office work because of which he had to drop out. So he said he will watch the recordings. Cool, no problem. So yeah, so I have not passed any parameters, guys, to this table function. And this table function, as you can see, belongs to information schema. Okay. Uh, just let me remove this because I've already set the context here, so I don't need to give a full qualified name. So see, guys, it will basically tell you from last 14 days about, say, compute warehouse, how much it has been used. Okay. Then compute. So whatever warehouses we have in our databases, right? For that, it will show us. Okay. It is not showing for any other compute warehouse, right? I mean, for any other warehouse. It is just showing us for compute warehouse. But we have some other warehouses also. Okay. So if we change it here, let me change to this. See, it's showing us the data for the warehouse that we have set here. Okay. What was the last 14 days usage? So I have not used this for so many days, this particular warehouse. Let me change it to account admin. Maybe there are some more warehouses. Test VH, test under VM underscore this. Yeah. Okay. Looks like I have not used them in the last 14 days also. Let me go to compute. Okay. So this is related to load history. Okay. And if I go to, okay. So guys, this is not related to the consumption. Okay. This is the activity it has done. Kind of loading, querying, and all that. It is basically related to your activities, not your consumption. Consumption comes from this table, warehouse metering history. If you want to look at consumption, this comes from this one, metering history. See the function, this function returns credit usage within the last 6 months. And what all arguments can you pass? Is your date range, start, end date range, and warehouse. And see, this is required. Date range start is required 100%. It's required, it's not optional. Okay. And the other two are optional. So we will see the metering history also. So these are certain table functions under information schema where you can collect metrics information and your usage information also. Okay. Uh, I will come to the warehouse metering history also in some time. Let me just show you here quickly. So this is a kind of query we created to see which particular warehouse has consumed the most. Okay, so what we're doing is we are selecting some information from warehouse metering history, and we are specifying the start time because it is compulsory, and for the last 10 days. Okay, grouped by the warehouse name. Okay, then we are summing up the cloud service, the credits used by cloud services. So this is a column called credits used underscore cloud services. in this warehouse metering history view, which gives you the credits utilized by cloud services layer. Okay, so this particular warehouse, right, cloud services warehouse, this is not created by us. This is created by Snowflake itself, and it does only the cloud service layer activity. It doesn't do the normal query processing, data loading processing, and all that. So we have already seen this in the architecture, right? And this is credit used compute. Okay, so this is nothing but your warehouses which have consumed the credits, and this is the total credits plus cloud services plus your compute. Okay, so if we want to, so we can see this on web UI also. This billing information or consumption of credits information. This I have discussed earlier also. If we go to account admin, there will be a account tab which will be enabled. This account tab, correct? If we go to this account tab and usage, we can see all the credits used by the various warehouses we have in our Snowflake, and see this cloud services only. This one is created automatically by Snowflake. Okay, it is showing how much it has been used for the. This is based on some I think date range of past some days. If you see May 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total credit. So total warehouses I have in the system is 7. All of them combined have used 35.5 credit points. Maximum used is by my compute warehouse, and it will give me by day also. So right from November 1st to today is 20, right? So till here it is showing for the month. So if I go here and change to October, we go to November back. Yeah, so I'm not sure why it's not showing for the others, but you can see the last 6 months uh, from that view I was just showing you, that metering history on. Okay, we'll see that in a bit. Okay, so from here you can get an idea of what is the total credits used and all that. So if we go to the view there, okay, I will fire this query and show, for example, we'll see a particular warehouse, compute warehouse, how much it has used. We'll see that first. So before that, we need to know what is account usage. Okay, see. So account usage is nothing but a Snowflake is a system-defined read-only shared database provided by Snowflake. Okay, so each one of you, when you created this account, okay, and if you, I'll just change it back to sysadmin to show you. Here I'll change it to sysadmin. Okay, so if you, what it is saying, guys, it is saying when you create a Snowflake account, Snowflake shares a database called as Snowflake only, right? Snowflake is a system-defined read-only shared database provided by Snowflake. Okay. the Snowflake, the database is automatically imported into each account from a shared named account usage. So what it means is when you create your Snowflake account, this is your Snowflake account, right? When you create it, there's another Snowflake, there's another account which is called as owned by Snowflake. Okay, and this is account for us. Okay, maybe 1, 4, 6, 7, that URL which we see here, right? This URL here, this is our account ID, right? So consider that this is our. So whenever we create it, what happens is Snowflake has its own account, okay, and under that it has one database. Okay, it is the name of that database is Snowflake. Okay, and so what it does is it creates a share. The share is a database object, not database object, sorry. There's an account level object called shares here. We saw this, right? If you want to share our database with some other account or other account has to share its database with us, that time it is done through creating a share, something called as a share object. Okay, so what Snowflake does is it creates a shared object, maybe this. Okay, it creates an object called shared, and for this to share Snowflake database, it gives the name as account usage to this shared object, and through this shared object it shares us shares this database to us. Okay, so through this shared object, we are going to, this is nothing but kind of a link created. If you have worked on Oracle, there is something called as database links in Oracle, right? So to connect different databases to query from each other. So that is nothing but a kind of a share or a database link only. So what Snowflake does is it has its own database called Snowflake. It creates a share called account usage, and through this it shares Snowflake database with us, with anyone who creates the account. Okay, and that is visible only to account admin. So if you go to the worksheet, I have changed my role to sysadmin. We cannot see any Snowflake shared database here, right? We cannot. So now if I change it to account admin, yeah, if I change it to account admin here, you see this is started to appear, right? You can see, when I hover over it, you can see that it is written as Snowflake share, and what is the origin from Snowflake, and that share used to share this database with us or with our account is called as account usage. If you want more information on this, you can go to shares here. Okay, so see, if I remove this account admin, if I switch this role to some other role, say sysadmin, it will not show us the details because the shared information is only visible to account admin. But if account admin gives privileges to some other role to have a look at share, then we can have a look. Okay, so but initially the privilege is only with account admin, and account admin, if he wants, he can give that privilege for other roles also to make this screen visible. So see, so this share I had exported, if you guys remember, from this data marketplace. Okay, then as I said, it creates it is shared by Snowflake. This is the account. Okay, this is the account, and this is the database which they have shared. So both are called as Snowflake only. And what was the secure share name? This was a secure share name, which is account usage. So this is a share created by Snowflake account to share the database Snowflake with us. And this is a separate in detail topic, guys. Like, for example, if I have created a database, this control DB, right? If I want to share it with some other account, how can I do that? Correct? So, or if say one of you have created a database and you want to share with each other, how can you do that? So that is a very separate, complete detailed topic called as data sharing. So that time we will have a look. But to just to give you a generic concept idea, I just told you all this. Okay. So this database is always imported or shared by Snowflake when we create our Snowflake account, and it is visible from account admin role. Okay. And you can see this arrow is always for a shared database. So it has a few schemas under it. Sorry, not this one. Snowflake. Okay. Account usage, data sharing usage, organization usage, reader account usage. So we are interested in what is account usage. So see, I'll read it again. Snowflake is a system-defined read-only shared database provided by Snowflake. Correct? The database is automatically imported into each account from a shared named account usage. The Snowflake database is an example of Snowflake utilizing secure data sharing to provide, see what it provides, object metadata and other usage metrics for your account. So in other words, it is doing the same thing what information schema is doing for you. Okay. But there are certain differences which we'll see. So it is also doing the same thing. It is providing you objects, metadata, and the usage metrics. So if we go to the uh, account usage view here, so it has got certain views. I'll open a new worksheet, guys. Yeah, open this. See, it has also got various views here. Okay, so if suppose I'll have a look at one particular view called tables. So see, fire this query, you see. As this catalog is nothing but whenever catalog comes, right, it means database. Okay, so it is basically showing us the tables, I mean, tables under their schemas at the account level, or sorry, the databases at the account level. Okay, so if you're asking why is it not showing for control DB, for test DB, util DB, so the reason is there's control DB here, but there is no tables created under them. Okay, there's no table. Let me bring it back. Why is it showing for demo DB? There are tables created under them. Okay, I have done a distinct, guys, to just list for what all databases will it give the table metadata. So so you can already see the difference between information schema table view and account usage table view. So when we are looking at information schema tables, somewhere here, yeah, somewhere here. So it was basically giving you all the table information under that particular database only, correct? But if you look at here at account level, it is giving you whatever is coming under the account level for that for that object, it is giving you the information for all the objects. Okay, so for demo DB, I just showed you we have tables. For sample DB, also we have two schemas here. One is public, there's no table in that. Under sample schema, there is something called as sample table. I might have created it for some uh, demo purpose for the other batches, and these are shared objects. So obviously we will not see anything from there. See, in test DB there is nothing, and util DB also I never touch it, so there's nothing. Okay, and these shared databases, guys, you don't have privileges to create anything. It's a read-only access. Okay, so yeah, so that is one kind of a difference in information schema and account usage. We'll see more of them as we just run through more of its property. So again, the Snowflake database is an example of Snowflake utilizing secure data sharing to provide object metadata and other usage metrics of your account. So usage metrics is nothing but your uh, uh, the storage and the consumption of your compute. Okay. So guys, don't confuse between account usage share and account usage view. Okay. So this share is a separate object. This share is a separate object, and under Snowflake there's a schema that is also called as account usage only. Okay? So these two things are separate. So don't confuse in that. You can give same names. Okay, no worries. So see, this account name is Snowflake, but in database also they have given this database name, right? Snowflake. So that these two are different objects. This is a view, sorry, this is a schema, and this is a account share. This one, this share thing you are seeing here, this is this. And if you go to databases, what role is here? Okay. Yeah, this Snowflake. If you go to Snowflake, schemas here. So this account usage, this is that option. Both are different. Okay. So the names are same. So I just thought I will clarify if at all there is confusion. Okay. Now, account usage view. This is about account usage view. View that displays object metadata and usage metrics for your account. Okay. In general, these view mirror the corresponding views and table functions in Snowflake information schema, but with following differences. Okay. So basically, they are giving you the same information as information schema, but certain differences are there. For example, what? Records for dropped objects included in each view. Means if you drop a particular object from your database, that metadata will no more be visible in information schema, but its metadata will, the historical metadata will still be visible in account usage. We'll see that also. Okay. So which is why longer retention time for historical usage data, and there is data latency, guys. So what does data latency mean is, as soon as I create a table in my database or any object for that matter, okay. Normally we create tables, that's why I keep saying tables, but for that matter, any object. So say if I create some object, say table in DemoDB, immediately I can see the metadata in information schema. Okay. So I go and change it to public. Okay. And I will create one table. Just just one column I'll make. Okay. So one table I have made in DemoDB in public schema. And I will go and fire that information schema tables views and see what happens. Is that a worksheet? Here it is. Guys, it's not showing in the information schema because it is not owned by sysadmin, and I was having the role sysadmin here. Okay, I've changed the role also. So it basically takes these context values, guys, while showing you stuff here. Okay, so account admin is the most powerful, so it will have access to all. So if you see this, it is immediately showing you the object metadata. So if I fire this on columns also, it will show me what all columns I have for this particular table immediately. I'll just copy this table. Okay, one column I had added. But now if I want to go and check the same thing in account usage, this is my account usage, correct? And here I must have tables. I have this tables, right? So this is my tables, and I created it under DemoDB, right? So I will do a where clause catalog equal to demo underscore db, and I'll fire this. And my role is also account admin. So see, it gives me the list of the tables I have, and it is also giving the history, guys. Like you can see 2 times the tables are there. So it is basically showing the history, because if for example, if you look at this particular table, so look at this. So it gives us the history, what time it was created, what time it was last altered, what time it was deleted, means dropped, whether it was dropped. So I had created this number a couple of times, guys. I had altered the columns also. I had dropped the tables also in between. So it has kept all that information, historical information. But if you go to information schema, you will not find the historical information. Okay, so it had kept all the information related to what I had done on that particular table. Okay, so if we go and look at our table, which we just created, let me filter it additionally on this column also. Table underscore name equal to this one. See, it's not there. Okay, but what account usage schema says, that it gives you the object metadata information at the account level. So ideally we should have got this information, right? But that is what is the difference between information schema and account usage, that this is data latency. Means immediately you will not see this popping up in the account usage metadata views. Immediately you will not see. After, so what is the time period? It takes around 45 to 3 hours, 45 minutes to 3 hours to come to get reflected in the account usage. See, this is a table. This is taken from Snowflake only. So see what it says, include dropped objects. So yes, account usage includes that. Information schema doesn't include. What is the latency of data? From 45 minutes to 3 hours, it will get reflected. For information schema, there is no latency. Immediately you will see the metadata. And for retention of historical data is 1 year. Okay. And for information schema, it is 7 to 6 months. So this is one screenshot I had taken basically. So I created this table, that's metadata info, and I have fired it on information schema. There was nothing. Oh, sorry, there was on information schema there was one row, and when I fired on account usage, there was nothing. After some time, see, there was nothing for account usage metadata, and after some time, the information came back. So by the end of this class, hopefully we'll keep checking this again, and hopefully they should come. Okay. So other there are other schemas also. This reader account usage will come during the time we look at uh, data sharing. Okay, then this organization usage, guys, this is also when you create what do you call this, when you have this org admin privileges and you create accounts, different accounts and all that, right? So that on that level you can see. So this also we'll try to cover later, not in this class. Okay, so information schema and account usage are nothing but almost similar with certain differences which we just saw. Okay, and overall, guys, it's nothing but a metadata information kept. So I have to show you the compute, how to get the compute credits information also, right? So yeah, so if you see this warehouse metering history, this is part of your account usage schema. Let me go here. So if you go to account usage, see this warehouse metering history, right? This is where we get the credits consumed for each warehouses. So if we simply do a simple select, not have all these aggregations here, let's do a simple. Okay, so so for each warehouse, it will show you by date and end, by its start date and end time, what is the credits used, okay, and what is the credits used by your compute, means this compute, this warehouse, that is credit used by this warehouse. And while using this, there might have been some usage of cloud service layer also, right? Because cloud services layer is the layer which does the management stuff between your compute warehouse and storage, right? So during that also gets that particular layer also gets to consume certain credits. So for that there's a separate warehouse called cloud service layer, this one. So what was the amount of cloud service layer used while using this warehouse? So if you add both of these, you will get this value. And as we saw, it holds information for the last 6 months, correct? So if I let me take compute warehouse, okay, and I'll do a where clause on that particular warehouse, where warehouse equal to this. Okay, this is my history of consumption, and let me now do this. I am basically summing up the credit used columns, guys. Okay, so I'll get one row and I'll get a total credit usage, and that is what, this 32.5 something. And if I go to my account billing, see, it is 33.12 something. Okay, so that there is some latency there, because right now also we are using, right now also we are using this compute warehouse, so that has not come into this into this account usage view right now, because there is, as we just saw, that there is some data latency. It doesn't come immediately. Correct? After 45 minutes or 3 hours, it can get reflected. Okay. So yeah, so that is one important one important warehouse collection metrics for warehouse collection. Okay. There is one more called query history. If I go back to that account usage here, there is something called as query history, guys. So this history view is nothing but the data that comes here. We have seen this tab, right? It holds all the uh, query related metadata that we fire day in day out, right? So we just fired this latest query, this aggregation of compute services, right? So it generates a unique ID, and it will show you which user fired and which warehouse was used and all that other information. So this particular topic for query history will be there separately also. But if I just fire this and show it to you. See, for example, here, here it will not, it will show you which warehouse has used what amount of credits, correct? If I go back and simply fire the query of metering history and not do aggregations, let's see. See, it shows you which warehouse and how many credits it fired, it consumed, right? But in a real scenario, one particular warehouse will be used by quite a few people, right? Like developers, analysts. Not, I mean, each one will have separate warehouses. But if there are say 5 developers, they might be using a single warehouse. They are sharing a single warehouse, correct? So, how do I, if I want to see which particular uh, developer has used most of the warehouse. So that I can do by going to query history. Okay, let me fire this. And what kind of query? Select, list, did I create? All that also query type, right? That kind of things also I can find out. So let me do a normal select star on this. So it is a very good handy metadata information to get from this view. Do a star here. Yeah, see, you will get a query ID also and query text, session ID, which warehouse, which user. There is something called as credits used. Yeah, credits used, right? So if you want to find out which particular uh, user consumed which particular warehouse with how many number of credits, you can get from this. And what kind of operation was he doing? It was a select kind of operation, whether it was, for example, if you see there is something called as copy also, which we just saw, right? So let me go back to the earlier query and fire it. So you saw there was something called as copy also. Copy. So this is used for data loading basically. When you're trying to load data into Snowflake, you use this command. Okay. So we will be covering this in detail. So it will show you for what kind of query also what kind how much credits was used and how many such selects were fired. See, 775 selects have been fired. And this is also, I think it shows you for the past 14 days. So if we go to query history here, if you go to account usage, okay, and you want to see the different views for the account usage, you will see query history. Okay. See, the account usage view can be used to query Snowflake query history by various dimensions, time range, session, user, warehouse, etc. within the last 1 year. Okay, for the past 1 year, you can see uh, the details of the query history, and you can what do you call it? Filter it by time range, session, users, warehouses, and all. So this is kind of very handy query history view given to you by account usage. Okay, and if you go and see in information schema, you will not find that view here. Okay, but you will see a you'll see a query history table function. This one. You can see, but this is again you will only get it. It will only be retained for 7 days. Data retention. Okay, so if you click here, this function returns query activity within last 7 days, guys. Okay, so this is this. If you fire this function, select star from table query history, and if you pass whatever details you want to, it will give you the last 7 days queries that has been fired in your Snowflake. So there is no query history view as such in information schema. You have a table function, but in account usage, you have a proper view which gives you the information for the last 1 year. Okay. So let me see if that information has come. This was a table, right? Account usage. Yeah, okay. It's not come yet. Cool, no problem. So, guys, any doubts in these topics? It's quite self-explanatory and easy only. But any doubts, please let me know before we move on to other topic. Okay. Uh, and guys, is it okay to take a 10 minutes break and then we'll continue with the next topic? Only half an hour is left. We will obviously not be able to complete the whole topic, but we will start it. So can we take a 10 minutes break? We will gather back at uh, what is the time now? 9:25, right? Guys, are you all awake?
Yeah, Abdul. Yeah, we can take a break.
Okay, okay. So we'll take a 10 minutes break, guys, and then I'll be back. Okay. And by the end
Yeah,
of the class, hopefully this comes back.
yeah, okay.
If it does not come back, I will share the screenshot anyway with you guys. Okay. Okay. So I'll just come back in 10 minutes, guys. See you. Hey, hi guys. I'm back. You're able to hear me?
Yes, Abdul.
Okay. So I hope everybody is there. Uh, I hope everybody has come back from the break. Okay. So guys, this, as you can see, this has come back. So there was some latency, but now it is showing up in the account usage table view. And if you go to the columns also, you will see the metadata. So okay, good. So we are able to see the column also, right? Now, just a second. Shiva and Vinod, you guys are there?
Yes, Abdul.
Okay. Shiva, are you there?
Yeah, Abdul, I'm not quite focused on this meeting now. I have other production issue that going on. I
Okay,
will
okay.
see when I get the chance. Maybe
Sure,
night.
sure. No problem, no problem. Yeah, sure, sure. No worries, no worries. Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, the reason I was asking was because I gave a break and I was just wanted to be sure everybody's back. Sometimes people might think if I have come back early, so it might be that people have not yet come back. So I was just confirming. So yeah, anyway, so this metadata, guys, as we saw some time back, this was not available in the account usage metrics or metadata not metrics, but now it has come. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the demo public schema where I had created this table and I'll drop it. Okay, I'm dropping it. Okay, dropped. Now let's go and see the metadata information for this table in information schema. Those queries are somewhere here. Okay. So first I am firing the information schema for public schema in DemoDB. So as you can see, that test underscore infosec is not there, right? Because I have dropped it. And if I go to the columns table, that is also not there. Correct? Sometime back it was there when the table was existing, but now it's no more there, right? But now let me go back to accounts, account usage. See, it's still there. Still there, right? After some time, again, if let me scroll a little to my right, there is something called as created date, guys. So when was this date? When was this table created? So and so time and date, and was this deleted? So it says no. So after some time, after the latency period is crossed, you will find one more row here, which will have this column filled up, which will mean that this particular table was dropped at so and so time. Okay, again, after the latency period is closed. So I will send you a screenshot if by the end of our class, it doesn't come. Here also, this column. Was this deleted? New row should come and give the date when it was deleted. Okay, so yeah, so as we said, it will also hold information about the dropped objects as well. So if you go back, it says include dropped objects for account usage. Yes. For information schema, no. And information schema comes with every database you create in your account Account usage comes from a shared location or a shared database from the Snowflake account to our accounts. This one. Okay. It is not residing in our account. Please be very clear about this. It is shared from Snowflake's own database. While information schema is always created, this is information schema, this is information schema. Every time you create a new database, you will have an information schema under it. Okay, so information schema is existing under your accounts, while account usage schema, I think people are still celebrating Diwali. So yeah, so account usage will be coming from a shared database from Snowflake through a share called account usage. Okay, guys. So yeah, this is a simple topic only, not very difficult to understand. But yes, so anytime you feel okay that I want to get certain information on metadata, so always go to information schema or account usage and see if you have something related to that here in table functions. Go and click those table functions and see for your particular subject area which you're working on. Okay, it's not possible to cover all of them, but we know the concept and we know where to find our related information now. Correct? This, yeah, there is one more information schema called table function called as login history by user. So this will just give you what times and when that particular user had logged in. So it is just a login history. So it can be used for your audit purposes, right? So if I go to my demo DB and if I see this, so you'll see this my user, right? When all I had logged in. Event is what? A login. When I had logged in. All that stuff. If I order by if I order by this, descending order. So I had logged in today, 28th November at around 6:20 something. Okay, and so on. So this is for audit purpose if you want. Okay, so such kind of metadata you can always go through and find from information schema or also from account usages. Okay, that dropped information has still not come back. So anyway, we will wait for some time and see how it looks like. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. One, I want to ask you guys: do you want to start this topic today, or because this is going to be a little heavy topic? Okay. See, there are quite a few topics and quite a few scripts and all that also, which I will share with you, and some assignment will also be there, which we will do in the class. So do you want to start? We have what, 15 minutes? Do you want to start a little bit today? Because today some folks are not there and some, I think Shiva is also busy with production issue. So I want good concentration if to have on this particular topic, because it's a very important topic, okay, to understand. So do you want me to continue for next 15 minutes, or is it okay if we start with this topic as a fresh topic tomorrow?
Yeah, we can start freshly.
Fresh tomorrow is fine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So fine. Okay. Thank you, guys, and I will we'll get in touch tomorrow again and have started with a new topic called as Snowflake's approach to access control. Okay, so this is an area related to your users, roles, and privileges. That is what we are going to look into. Okay, and each system has this framework, whether it's a database, whether it's a cloud service, whether it is a CRM portal or anything like that. Every kind of an application will have this framework in as a part of that application. Correct? Security is of utmost importance. So this kind of framework will always be there. But what is the approach of Snowflake? How it is a little different from others, that we will see in detail. Okay, guys. Any doubts for today's topics, or any doubts for the topics in the past that we have seen? If you want, you can ask me. We have 15 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm assuming you don't have doubts. So yeah, thank you so much and have a good weekend. And I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you and good night and good day to Shiva.
Abdul. Hello, Abdul.
Yeah, Shiva, go ahead.
Can you upload this SQL that you have? You right? Work warehouse usage. Yeah, this SQL into this folder.
Yes, all this both these SQLs I'm going to upload in the drive. Yeah,
I will see. Yeah.
Have a look. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Shiva. Okay, guys. Good night and good day to you, Shiva.